but who was watching from the darkness?
On a quiet farm in rural Germany, 6 people disappeared without a trace. Days later, investigators made a horrifying discovery. There were strange footprints leading to the house, but apparently none leading away. And the most disturbing question remains unanswered more than a century later. Who was hiding at Hinterkaifeck? The Hinterkaifeck farm stood in a remote area of Bavaria near the town of Gruben, Germany. In 1922, it was home to farmer Andreas Gruber, his wife Cecilia, their widowed daughter Victoria Gabriel, and Victoria's 2 children, 7-year-old Cecilia and 2-year-old Joseph. The family's maid had also recently left the farm, reportedly saying she believed the isolated house was haunted. In late March 1922, strange events began to trouble Andreas Gruber. He reportedly found unfamiliar footprints in the snow leading from the nearby forest toward the farm. According to later accounts, there appeared to be no matching tracks leading back. Other disturbing signs followed. A newspaper from Munich appeared at the farm, even though the family had not bought it. Andreas also heard unexplained noises coming from the attic. He reportedly told neighbors about these incidents, but did not contact the police. On March 31st, a new maid named Maria Baumgartner arrived at Hinterkaifeck. It was her first day at the isolated farm. That same evening, the family was seen going about their normal business. Victoria's daughter, Cecilia, attended school. Nothing publicly suggested that within hours, every person inside the farmhouse would be dead. The following days raised alarm. The family did not appear for church. Little Cecilia was absent from school. Yet smoke continued to rise from the chimney, and neighbors later noticed that the farm animals had been fed. On April 4th, concerned neighbors and acquaintances went to investigate. Inside the property, they discovered a terrible crime scene. The bodies of Andreas, his wife Cecilia, Victoria, and young Cecilia were found in the barn. The bodies of little Joseph and the new maid, Maria Baumgartner, were found inside the house. The victims had been killed sometime around the night of March 31st. The murder weapon was believed to be a mattock, a farming tool, which was later found hidden on the property. But the murders themselves were only the beginning of the mystery. Evidence suggested that someone may have remained at the farm after the killings. The animals had been cared for. Food had apparently been consumed. Smoke continued to come from the chimney. Was the killer hiding somewhere on the farm? Had they returned after the murders? Or had someone else discovered the bodies and failed to report them? The investigation quickly became one of Germany's most puzzling criminal cases. Police questioned numerous people, but no one was ever convicted. The remote location, the limited forensic technology of the time, and contamination of the crime scene made the investigation extremely difficult. One major focus was the complicated history of the Gruber family. Andreas Gruber and Victoria had been involved in an incestuous relationship years earlier, a fact that had become known to authorities. Victoria's husband, Karl Gabriel, had been declared dead during World War I, although uncertainty surrounding his fate later fueled speculation. Victoria also had a relationship with a neighbor named Lorenz Schlittenbauer. He was believed by some to be the possible father of Joseph, although the child's paternity was never definitively established. Schlittenbauer became one of the most discussed suspects. He was familiar with the farm and joined the group that discovered the bodies. Some observers later considered his behavior suspicious, particularly his knowledge of the property and the way he reportedly moved around the crime scene. But suspicion is not proof. No conclusive evidence ever connected Schlittenbauer to the murders, and he consistently denied involvement. He was investigated and questioned, but never charged. Other theories were considered over the years. Some suggested robbery, revenge, family conflict, or a wandering criminal. Yet money was reportedly found at the farm, making robbery an uncertain motive. There was also speculation that someone may have been secretly living near or even inside the property before the murders. The strange footprints, attic noises, missing key, and unfamiliar newspaper became central parts of the mystery. However, many details of the case come from witness accounts recorded after the crime, and some have been debated or interpreted differently over time. This has made it difficult to separate firmly established evidence from later speculation. The Hinterkaifeck murders remain officially unsolved. In 2007, students at the police academy in Fürstenfeldbruck reportedly conducted a modern review of the historical case and identified a suspect they considered the most likely killer. However, the suspect's name was not publicly revealed, partly because the person was already dead and because the case could not be proven with certainty. Today, the original Hinterkaifeck farm no longer exists. The buildings were demolished in 1923, just a year after the murders. But the mystery has never disappeared. Who killed 6 people on that isolated Bavarian farm? Was the murderer someone the family knew? Was someone secretly watching them in the days before the crime? And perhaps most chilling of all, did the killer remain at Hinterkaifeck after everyone was gone? More than a century later, there is still no final verdict, no proven motive, and no confirmed killer. The Hinterkaifeck murders remain one of history's most haunting unsolved crimes. What do you think happened at that lonely farm in 1922? And who do you believe was responsible? Let us know your theory in the comments.